The Journal poll finds Trump with a slight national advantage of 2 points within the poll's margin of error, with around 2% support for Robert F. Kennedy, who suspended his independent run in August in support of Trump, while about 3% remained undecided, a snapshot reflecting a close race that will go down to the wire, as both sides sharpen their attacks on the other. Harris leaning into 2 interviews out this week with Trump's longest-serving White House chief of staff, warning that his former boss met the definition of a fascist.
Our Chief of Staff, John Kelly, a retired 4-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions. Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there, and no longer be there to rein him in. So the bottom line is this: we know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power.
While Trump, twice impeached by the US Congress and facing several federal indictments, including in relation to efforts to overturn the legitimate outcome of the 2020 election, which he lost, frames the 2024 election as a choice between incompetence and greatness.
Harris does not have the compassion, the smarts, or the strength to be the president of the United States. She just can't do the job. She's a mess. She's a cognitive mess, and nobody wants to talk about it. And we can't have 4 more years. We had 4 years of it. We can't take another 4 years of it, can we? And she has resettled some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into your communities to prey upon innocent American citizens. When I win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins.
Polls showing no clear front-runner both nationally and in the swing states that determine who wins the Electoral College. Voters are on edge. This Los Angeles voter is a 55-year-old IT worker who likes to surf to relieve stress.
You hear so much on both sides nonstop, like it's the end of democracy, it's the world's going to crap. You know, yeah, there's just a lot of negativity, and then you hear it through friends and family a little bit too. So I try to brush it off, but after a while it does get to you a little bit.
This 79-year-old is a volunteer trail worker in Shenandoah, Virginia, who prefers the outdoors to electioneering.
We hear the same thing over and over, and without mentioning names, 2 different candidates, 2 different characters, outlook on life. It's just a crazy world, and this is a good release to be out in nature.
Or this voter in Rockville, Maryland, who is a licensed clinical marriage and family therapist.
Emotions are real and everywhere, and we're all experiencing them. And if you are experiencing it impacting your mental health and your well-being and your relationship health, you're not alone. It's stress, it's anxiety, it's fear. It can sometimes be anger or outrage. I think one of the other big things that we're seeing a lot of is people struggling to connect because it doesn't always feel safe to talk about. You don't know what environments are a safe environment to have political conversations or to discharge some of the stress.
And with at least 28 million ballots already cast in early voting across several states, the broad consensus is that any October surprise is unlikely to fundamentally shift the trajectory of the race. Numbers pointing to a coin toss in this election, we are no closer to clarity on who really has an advantage just 12 days out. As we edge towards an outcome in this marathon, expect to hear more from Trump on immigration, inflation and the economy, where the polls show he has an advantage. Or Harris, who will press her favorability on tackling threats to America's democracy, reproductive rights and healthcare. Add to that the personal attacks, which are now commonplace, and what becomes clear is very little, until the tight races in those key battleground states are called starting on election night. Shervin Ricebees, SABC News, New York.